All right, I don't know why I decided to just put the review up as a worksheet, but I think it's pretty easy. All right. Is everybody familiar with the trapezoid? Right? The trapezoid is just a quadrilateral with one set of parallel sides. The other two are not parallel. All right. In here, there's a thing called the mid-segment. All right. The mid-segment, or the median of a trapezoid, is the segment that connects the midpoints of the legs. Well, what are the legs? The legs are the non-parallel sides. All right, is everybody with me on this? All right. Now, the other thing we can do is we can have an isosceles trapezoid. And an isosceles trapezoid just means that the two legs are what? The two legs are congruent. That's all it means. Very simple. And then from there, if you have an isosceles triangle, that means the base angles are congruent. Now, if I blow up over here on an isosceles trapezoid, the base angle, that means this angle right here is equal to that angle. And then these are other base angles up here. We would say this base angle and these base angles are also the same. And of course, those two base angles are always what? Supplementary. That's exactly correct. All right. Anybody have any questions with kind of the basic definitions? All right. Now let me see what we have down here. All right, so here we go for question number 1. Find the measure of angle D. What is that? 55. Now remember, what I want to do is, I want to keep going because I'd like to get through as quickly as we can. I just think they're rules, that we're following rules, that's it. And I don't think it's a big deal. If you're not sure about how I'm getting 55, now's the time to speak up. All right? Because it's isosceles, this angle over here would be 125, and this would be 55. All right? So, measure of angle L.
L.
Angle L would be 140. All right? Here we go. Now, for each quadrilateral with the given vertices, verify that the quadrilateral is a trapezoid. Okay, so if it is a trapezoid, that means two sides will have the same what? Same slope. And then the other two sides will not have the same slope. All right? So two sides will be parallel, two sides will not be parallel. So if we were going to graph this real quick, all right, let's go ahead and do that. Here we go.
Oh. What was it you made?
Mm-hmm. All right, obviously, you got to find a place to put this.
No, I did mine right under it.
Good, good, good.
Good for you, Zoe.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to graph this and see what's going on. And again, the reason why it's not so bad is because the actual numbers are rather small, so it's not hard. So -1, -1. Thank you. And then 3, 2. And then 1, -2. And then -2. Is that it? Okay, so that's okay. You can say it's not a trapezoid. That doesn't make it so. All right? So draw it out so you can see it. Now, the main thing is what you're looking at right here is trying to determine, obviously, what ones are, if I were going to estimate, I would say those are probably the ones that are parallel. All right, now how do I know? We can just draw it out. The slope, the rise here is 2 over 1, so the slope of this side is 2. And on the other one, just to make it easy on myself, I went up what? 4, and I went over what? So the slope of this is also 2. And now over here, we can easily see that, please listen, this slope right here is what? Negative, correct? And this slope over here is what? So they can't be parallel. So therefore, we've proven that it is a what? It is a trapezoid. All right, it is definitely a trapezoid. Okay?
No, that's awesome. Flat.
Anybody have any questions with that? All right. Now, let's just go ahead and move this around if I can. All right. Now, number 4, I'm assuming is going to be the same. So let's take a look at 5 and 6. All right, see what's going on. Now, if M and N are the midpoints, here's the rule. All right. That means that HM is congruent to what? ML. And then JN is congruent to NK. Now, surprisingly enough, the mid-segment is the average of the two bases. The mid-segment is always the average of the two bases. So this mid-segment right here, this is base 1, and this could be considered base 2. So the mid-segment is equal to base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, which kind of makes sense. It's in the middle. So it should be the average. Pretty easy. All right, so now let's look and see what they say. HJ is 32. Let's go ahead and mark that. HJ is 32. And then LK is 60. So it's just the average. So 32 plus 60 is 92. 92 divided by 2 is what? 46. 400. All right. Anybody have any questions with that? MN would equal 46. Am I good? All right, now let's talk about HJ. Let me move this out of the way now. All right, now HJ is 18, and MN is 28. Now, I would want everybody just to look at that and say, obviously, LK has to be what? 38, without any work. Without any work whatsoever. How do I know that? Because it's in the middle, right? So, I added 10. So in order for it to be in the middle, I have to do what? Add another 10. All right, there's no formula. There is a formula, but it's not necessary. Do they have any questions with that? What?
I just don't fully get how we know
Well, it's in the middle. Do you agree?
Yes.
So if it's in the middle, I went from, now watch how simple, from 18 to 28.
Oh,
So I just added 10. No, it's all right.
God.
It's all right. Everything's good. All right. So I think we're done with the first page. That's everything there is to know, or there needs to know about the trapezoid. All right. Now let's talk about the kite. The kite is another special quadrilateral. All right. If you look at this right here, are any of the sides parallel? None of the sides are parallel in a kite. However, consecutive sides are what? Congruent. That's what makes a kite. Please look up and make sure you're hearing me. This right here is congruent to this side right here, and we can say that this side right here is congruent to this side right here. And if you'll see, none of them are parallel. All right. Now, what appears to be true? Keep this in mind. What appears to be true about this angle and this angle? They are definitely equal. All right. Now, what's true about this right here and this right here? Are they equal? Definitely not equal. All right. Everybody good with this? All right. Now, there's so many ways of proving that, because look what we do. All right. To prove how simple that is, what we would do is we'd simply draw this right down the middle, this diagonal, and now I've proven that the triangles are what? Congruent by side, side, side. And if they're congruent by side, 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 that means that these two angles are equal, and it means what? These two angles are equal. So that diagonal bisected those two angles. If I draw the other one, if I draw this diagonal up here, though, here's where I need you to pay attention. These angles here are congruent because that's an isosceles triangle. These two angles here are congruent because it's an isosceles triangle. Everybody good with that? All right, but NMP does not equal PMR. Everybody hear what I'm saying? This angle here and this angle over here are not equal. Is everybody okay with that? Yes, sir.
If you put NMP and MRP together, that makes a right angle.
MNP and what else? I don't think so. I don't think so. And let me try to show you why. This here appears to be a what type of angle? Yeah, that's easy to prove that that's a right angle, right? Because those triangles are, in other words, MR, and I'm just going to put this X down here. MRX is definitely congruent to PRX. Do you agree? Which forces that to be a 90-degree angle. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you guys is that all of these rules for all these different quadrilaterals, as much as you sit home and try to memorize them, to me it's of no value. Every time you're unsure about something, you should be able to produce whatever you're talking about and then decide for your own whether or not what you're saying is true or false. So I understand that. Again, I don't know all these rules here. I just know that I made congruent triangles. Therefore, I knew these angles were congruent to these angles because the triangles are congruent, which meant that this diagonal bisected these two angles. Hopefully everybody's understanding what I'm saying. Because again, I just think there's so many different rules that it's hard to remember everything. And so instead of trying to remember everything, try to actually understand what's up on the board. And it's, to me, super easy to prove that the diagonals of a kite are perpendicular. It's easy to show that, easy to demonstrate. All right, in a month, you won't remember that the diagonals of a kite are perpendicular. But if you just do it based off observation, it's real easy to prove that's true. All right, hopefully you understand what I'm trying to tell you. All right. Now, with that little bit of information, all right, let's go down. I don't think, yeah, here we go. Let's look at this example down here. What is the measure of JRK? 90 degrees. Good. 90 degrees. Now let's look at RJ. RJ is 3. RK is 10. How do I figure out? Yeah, so everybody should be able to just look at that and say that's obviously the square root of 109. Right? We don't need work on that. I'm expecting to say 10 squared plus 3 squared is 109 without much thought. All right, square root of 109. All right, now, angle GHJ. GHJ is, it says here that it's 90. All right? Then it says GKJ, GK, that's not, is everybody with me on that?
Not on the scale, but that's
Yeah,
what it says.
definitely. Let's go ahead. So this right here is 110. Now, if that's 110, I'm just going to go ahead and make this 55 and 55. Right? If I wanted to up here, it probably would have been better if I would just put 45 and 45. All right? and I know these are always 90. So I think I know what we're getting at here. So if you had to figure this out real quick, this would be 45, right? This would have to be 45. And if this is 55, that over there would have to be what? 35. And that would have to be 35. That's what I was just, then I can just answer the questions because I have all the angles. All right. They're asking for H, J, K. HGK, thank you. And what is that? 80, thank you. All right. Now it says if HJ is 7, then HG is what? 7. Walker, you okay?
It says HG right below it.
5,000.
Did you see that?
All right, here we go. Now, number 5. It's if HG is 7 and HG is 7 and GR is 5, how do I find HR? Square root of what? What? 49 minus, yes, which is, thank you, 2 radicals. Review, all right, review your operations for radicals. Now remember on this, they give you the hypotenuse and the leg, so you're going to subtract. 49 minus 25 is 24. The square root of 24 breaks down to 4 times 6. The square root of 4 is 2. All right? Now, the next one, all right, they're changing up the angles, so let's go ahead and change them up. All right, it says G, H, J is 52, so of course I would just go ahead and put in 26 and 26. And then it says G, K, J is 95, so that would become 47.5, right? And then they want H, G, K. So I want this angle right here. All right. That could be 42.5, and this could be 64. So we have 106.5. Everybody agree with that? Lots of ways to do it. Lots of ways. Anybody have any issues with that? Okay. All right, you guys. I told you that's simple. So what I want you to do now is just do the next 2 pages. Very simple. You should be able to get it done by the time class ends. Man, some of you guys need to listen to yourself on video.
Yes, we do.